Hello, welcome to this video. In this video, even though it's 2024, I'm going to talk about why cloud and desktop and what's the difference between the two and why you should be realistically thinking about cloud. Now, the reason we're bringing it up in this year is because we're still finding people who are reluctant in 2024 to move to a cloud solution. And I thought it's best just to go through the reasons to why you should consider cloud in 2024. Hello, my name is Aaron Patrick. I am a chartered accountant, a certified UK trainer with a fancy new logo, that QuickBooks Chap on the internet, head of accounts here at Boffix, and also your friendly podcast who goes live each and every Monday morning for Ask the Accountant. So in today's video, we're talking about cloud versus desktop, which one you should be using. Now, if I'm being completely honest, if we're having this conversation 5 years ago, it'd be a completely different conversation. But what we find at the moment is actually cloud versus desktop is quite a straightforward conversation because majority of it is feature parity. And what I mean by that is most of the stuff your historical desktop solution could do and now your cloud solution can do are pretty much the same. And it used to be a point where the desktop version was more sophisticated, had more functions, had more opportunities, had more solutions, had things you could do that cloud solution couldn't, but that's not the case anymore. You see, nowadays, what you'll find is that we have loads of opportunities to be able to make sure that we can actually have feature parity between the both solutions. And there's only very few niche scenarios where you can't replicate what you could on the desktop. For example, with the QuickBooks solution, it's only really going to be stock management and looking at some multi-currency functionality that you lose out on when you go from desktop to online. Everything else is pretty much there. And even with those scenarios, most of the time you can find a third-party solution and use the App Store to add it on and go through from there. So most of the time, you are feature parity between a desktop and a cloud solution. So there are a few notable differences. Mostly it's going to be around the pricing structure. So a typical desktop solution, in most scenario, you pay for a lump sum and you get it for either indefinitely, or you get it for a year, or you get support for a year, or you get some features for a year and then it turns away. Now, that's definitely historically how desktop solutions were, but a lot of them were moving over to subscription-based modeling anyway. And that's exactly what you get at cloud. There isn't anything other than a subscription model when it comes to cloud-based scenario. I know the argument between subscription versus annual. You just have to look at your Office 365 nowadays to see exactly how that's going to happen. But it's fastly becoming the norm, right? And if I'm completely honest with you, I don't see a way around actually having to accept the fact that we're going to have a subscription-based model for this current time. But what it does give when it's subscription-based models is it should give you constant updates. That is the benefit of subscription. When it comes to desktop based, yeah, there were some updates here and there, but a lot of the times the big updates you were interested in were behind a paywall. You'd have to pay to the next version, or you'd have to pay to unlock that feature, or it was an add-on, or whatever it's going to be. Whereas most of the time with subscription-based models, the updates just come as part of the subscription. So yeah, it's frustrating to be onto a situation where you've got to go from maybe paying an upfront cost to and owning it maybe for life to a subscription cost that's going to continue going. I get that frustration, but I think it's something that everyone's just got to accept going forward. Next one is number of users. On a desktop solution, it was always very difficult and you had to have really sophisticated workarounds to be able to have more than one user having access to that data. You could have it so it was on a central server. You could have it so there was this really janky solution where it went up into the cloud and came back down again. There were solutions around it. There was even the opportunity of just getting a USB drive or floppy disk back in the day and actually passing the data around that way. But ultimately, the big advantage of a cloud versus desktop solution is a cloud solution is just completely and utterly set up from day one to have multiple users. And that doesn't just mean multiple users in your business. Yeah, it's amazing to have more than one person have access to maybe raise sales invoices, more than one person to be able to reconcile your bank, more than one person to make sure that you can see what your costings are going to be, more than one person to understand exactly how your business is doing in real-time information. That's the benefit of the cloud, right? But also, it's not just people in your business. It's also your accountant, it's your business advisor, it's your payroll person, whoever it is. Outsourcing is so much easier when you have a cloud-based solution, because all you need to do is make sure they have access to the software and they're off to the races. It really does open up a bigger and more flexible opportunity for you to be able to make sure your business is going in the right direction. By far, the biggest thing that we've ever seen from the cloud-based technology is that ability to have other people go in, make sure your data's right, make sure your data's up to date, and give you the confidence that whatever your insights you're taking from your business, from terms from your accounting software, making sure they're correct is number one priority. The other big advantage of cloud technology is the fact it can connect to many different things. Now, yes, desktop solutions were getting more sophisticated towards the end. So, for example, some desktop solutions did give you a functionality to connect to your bank, for example, but not all of them. Whereas in the cloud solution, every single solution out there pretty much has a connection to your bank. And that is a huge step in the right direction in terms of automating your business. If you can make sure that the information going in is correct from your bank, well, that's going to give you confidence that everything is going to be correct. Let's take a crude example, right? Historically, in a desktop solution, you'd wait for your bank statements to come through and you'd update your bank accordingly. Now, you could log on to your bank account, you could download and you could upload and you could do all that. But historically, that's how it worked. Wait for the bank statements arrived, you updated your accounting software. Move to a cloud-based solution. Every time you go and buy something out of a shop, or every time you order something online, or every time you receive money from a customer, that is going to get automatically updated into your cloud solution, making it so much easier to be on top of your data. There's nothing worse than having to go and think about, do you need to chase some debtors, for example, or who do you need to pay out of your creditors, and realize that actually your data is not up to date. And it can be so damaging to your customers if you go and chase them for an invoice they've already paid, and it's because your software is just not up to date. Cloud takes away that. Cloud connects to your bank account. Cloud has the ability to connect to eBay, Amazon, all of your e-commerce platforms. It gives you an opportunity to connect directly to your till system, gives you an opportunity to look at your wages system. You have an opportunity to have an integrated hub that everything can connect to. And yeah, desktop offered that as an option in workaround ways, but it was never going to be reliable because it always had to connect to the software itself. There was always this whole workaround you'd have to do. And if it broke or it stopped working or it was difficult to maintain, it always just made less sense to use in the first place, and it became something of more of a hindrance than a benefit. That's why I love cloud. Cloud makes it so much easier. It's all about the world of APIs. It's all about connecting one data set to another, and that's what you're going to get when you move to cloud technology. And then one of the big ones, data backups. Yes, as a data connoisseur and loving to be able to keep that opportunity to keep hold of data, there's nothing better than making sure you had your data backup from your desktop. But it was a manual exercise. You had to remember to do it on a regular basis. You could have, again, sophisticated systems that would update automatically, and in some circumstances you can make it update to the cloud for you without having to do too much work. But you were definitely having to remember to make sure that was working. You had to manually put some checks in place to make sure it was happening. And if you didn't have the sophistication, you had to manually update it yourself. And the key thing was making sure you update it on multiple sites. If the whole building that you were in was to burn down, what you didn't want is that to be the one and only location that all of these backups were saved. Cloud, you don't need to worry about that. Cloud, you don't even need to back up. Cloud is backed up automatically in multiple locations around the world, which makes it so much easier for you to be able to have confidence about accessing that data. You can access it wherever you want. That's the point of cloud, right? If you're sat on a beach and you needed to file a VAT return, you'd get your mobile phone out or your iPad and off to the races you go. You couldn't do that with a desktop. In fact, in that scenario, you'd have to get off the beach, get on a plane, go back home, file the VAT return and come back again. That's not the world we want to live in. But with cloud technology, having data that's easy to access, easy for you to back up, and easy for you to remain safe and secure is what it's all about. Remember, this is your financial data. For businesses, this is your absolute bloodstream of how that business is doing. And from a compliance point of view, if you lose that data, you could be in a lot of trouble. So making sure it's backed up safely in the cloud, making sure it's there is an absolute plus. And if you are one of those people who needs to have that comfort blanket, needs to have that opportunity to back up, then consider QuickBooks Advanced, because that gives you a backup functionality that gives you the opportunity to go and back it up at any point you want, to any place you want, so that you've got that chance to restore back to that point whenever you need to. Cloud is the best of both worlds. You have security and you have the opportunity to back up if you need to. Trust me when I say this. Cloud accounting is by far the best way to be able to take hold of your business. It's going to give you so much more flexibility. It's going to give you real-time information, and it's going to give you peace of mind. And for that, it's well worth the subscription that you've got to pay. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Now, before we go any further, the next thing to say is, which cloud accounting software do we recommend? Well, the name kind of says it all. QuickBooks for us is by far the best solution, only because it's available for every different type of business we can think of. We've yet to find a business where it doesn't fit. You go all the way from the bottom at solopreneur and self-employed, all the way to the top at QuickBooks Advanced, and anywhere in between, you've got a business solution and a software solution that's right for every type of business out there. That is why we love QuickBooks Online. Better yet, we've got loads and loads of support over at our sister channel, Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks Chap. And if you want a discounted version of QuickBooks, head over to our Boffix store, where we have a discounted selection for you, where you can buy from our e-store, making sure you can take QuickBooks at a discounted price to make sure that it makes it even more affordable for you and your business. My name's been Aaron Patrick. Hopefully this video has been useful for you. If it has in any way, please use the like, subscribe, all of that sort of stuff to make sure that you're the first to know about all the big updates that are coming into the world of accountancy, bookkeeping, and business itself. My name's been Aaron Patrick. So as I said, this video has been a pleasure, as I've already told you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.